No one could have predicted the chaos that unfolded on the final day of filming. What was supposed to be a simple wrap-up turned into a full-blown disaster. Cameras rolling, security scrambling, and producers desperately trying to control the storm. By the time it was over, the Love and Hip Hop set looked like a battlefield. But the destruction wasn't just physical, it was emotional. Because deep inside that chaos, a rumor had exploded. One so shocking it threatened to destroy reputations, relationships, and entire careers. Whispers began spreading like wildfire about a secret pregnancy. And the alleged father wasn't who anyone expected. Within hours, cast members started unfollowing each other. PR teams went silent, and fans flooded social media demanding answers. Was this all just another stunt for ratings? Or had real life finally gone too far? One thing was certain. The truth behind this scandal was about to shake everything. The first whispers started weeks before the chaos hit the set. At first, no one paid attention. Just vague gossip floating around, the kind that usually fades by morning. But this time, something was different. It began with a blurry photo posted late at night. Someone who looked a lot like one of the show's biggest stars, walking into a private clinic in Atlanta. The image spread across blogs within minutes. Comment sections exploded with speculation. Was it really her? And if it was, what was she doing there? Producers dismissed the rumors as clickbait. But behind the scenes, they were scrambling for answers. Cast members started texting each other, trying to piece together what was going on. Some claimed they'd noticed mood swings and sudden disappearances from filming. Others said she'd been seen crying in her car after a scene. The tension grew quietly, like a storm waiting to break. Then came the biggest clue yet. A nurse's anonymous message leaked online, claiming a high-profile client had requested a DNA consultation. Within hours, every gossip page had picked it up. The speculation turned into obsession. And from that moment on, everyone knew. Something huge was about to surface. Once the photo and leak hit the internet, the story took on a life of its own. Within hours, hashtags were trending, and fan pages were dissecting every detail. The date on the clinic sign, the car in the background, even the hairstyle. Everyone had a theory, and every theory felt more dramatic than the last. Some fans swore they had exclusive sources confirming the pregnancy. Others claimed it was all part of a hidden storyline the producers had been building for months. Bloggers jumped in, adding fuel to the fire with cryptic posts and so-called insider tips. Even verified celebrities began liking shady tweets and leaving comments that hinted at something deeper. It was chaos. Online detectives working overtime, trying to uncover the truth. But amid all the noise, one question echoed louder than the rest. Was this real, or another perfectly staged love and hip-hop illusion? Either way, the internet couldn't look away. As the rumors grew louder, the cast tried to keep their lives moving, at least in public. One star, calm and composed, was seen stepping out for events as if nothing had happened. Cameras caught smiles, designer outfits, and flashes of confidence that seemed to say, "I'm fine." But behind those rehearsed expressions, things were falling apart. Friends close to the situation described sleepless nights, unanswered calls, and quiet breakdowns away from the spotlight. While one cast member appeared flawless at every red carpet appearance, another was avoiding filming altogether, skipping scenes and ignoring producers' calls. Even the crew noticed the shift: whispered conversations on set, sudden arguments over nothing, and an energy that felt heavy every time the cameras rolled. Fans online started connecting the dots, pairing public photos with insider claims. Some noticed matching jewelry, others pointed out overlapping timelines. It wasn't just gossip anymore, it was heartbreak disguised as entertainment. And everyone could feel that something real was breaking beneath the surface. Just when the tension started to fade, a podcast clip dropped and instantly reignited the fire. The teaser was less than a minute long, but it was enough to send the internet into a frenzy. A familiar voice, trembling but steady, said the words no one expected. "I can't keep this secret anymore." The host didn't reveal who it was, but fans recognized the tone, the breathing, the heartbreak in every pause. Within minutes, blogs were replaying the clip, analyzing the background noise, and guessing who was finally ready to talk. Producers panicked, trying to figure out if this confession had been planned or leaked. Cast members went silent on social media, deleting posts and turning off comments. Some even unfollowed the podcast page altogether. But the damage was already done. The countdown had begun. Everyone knew a full confession episode was coming, and no one was ready for what it would expose. Behind the camera, the truth was bubbling, and once it came out, there would be no turning back. When the full podcast episode finally aired, the internet stood still. For the first few seconds, there was silence, just the sound of nervous breathing and the faint echo of a studio mic. Then, in a shaky but determined voice, Erica began to speak. She talked about mistakes, about moments she wished she could take back, and about a secret that had been eating her alive. "It wasn't supposed to happen," she said softly. But it did. Her words carried the weight of months of silence, and you could feel the pain behind every syllable. As she continued, the host stayed quiet, letting her unravel her truth piece by piece. Erica described how things started. Late-night conversations that turned into comfort, and comfort that crossed a line. She didn't name names at first, but everyone listening knew exactly who she meant. Then came the moment that broke the internet. Her voice cracked as she admitted, "Yes, it's true. And now there's a baby involved." The host gasped, trying to keep the interview calm. But it was too late. Social media exploded. Within minutes, clips flooded TikTok and Twitter. Fans replayed the confession, analyzing her tone, her pauses, even her tears. Supporters called her brave for owning her truth. Critics called her reckless. But no one could deny what she'd just done. She had shattered the silence and set fire to everything that came before it. The moment Erica's confession went live, the internet lost control. Every blog, gossip page, and entertainment site ran with the story. Screenshots of the podcast flooded timelines, and within hours, multiple insiders began leaking new claims. Some said a DNA test had already been taken in secret. Others hinted that the results were in, and that they didn't match the public story. Fans were divided, arguing over who was telling the truth and who was trying to save face. Producers behind the show saw an opportunity and moved fast. They started editing upcoming episodes to weave in the real-life scandal, teasing it as the moment that changed everything. Meanwhile, the cast was falling apart. Some were furious at Erica for exposing the truth. Others quietly supported her for having the courage to speak. But the real chaos began when a supposed test result appeared online. Blurred, unverified, but enough to convince millions. Was it real? Or just another rumor planted for attention? No one could say for sure. But one thing was clear. This scandal had escaped the screen, and now it was rewriting everyone's reality. Writing everyone's reality. Producers knew they had to get everyone in the same room. The tension was too thick, the rumors too wild, and the internet had already written its own version of the story. Every blog, every podcast, every fan page was spinning theories, and the show was on the verge of collapse. So, the network made a call, a special sit-down, one camera crew, no live audience, and every key cast member sitting face-to-face for the first time since the confession. When the doors opened, the air in that studio shifted immediately. You could feel the pressure, heavy, suffocating, almost electric. No one said a word at first. The crew stood still, waiting for direction. Then she walked in. Erica entered the room first. Her face was calm, but her body told another story. Shoulders tense, hands clenched, her eyes stayed glued to the floor. She didn't wear the same confidence fans were used to seeing on screen. This was different. This was a woman carrying the weight of whispers, judgment, and her own truth. She took her seat quietly, adjusting the mic clipped to her dress, avoiding the cameras as much as possible. Moments later, the door opened again, and he walked in. The man everyone believed to be at the center of it all. The room seemed to freeze. All eyes turned to him. His posture was guarded, his expression unreadable. He sat across from Erica, but not too close. The silence that followed was deafening. The host cleared their throat, trying to break the tension. They started softly, easing into small talk about the podcast that had ignited this storm, the fan reactions, and what really happened behind the scenes. At first, Erica's responses were careful, measured, as if every word could set off another explosion online. She said she didn't come to create more drama. "I came here to be honest," she said, voice trembling slightly. But as soon as the topic shifted toward the pregnancy, her composure started to crack. Her eyes glistened. Her voice broke mid-sentence. "I didn't plan for any of this," she whispered. "I just want peace." Across the table, he shifted in his chair, trying to avoid her gaze. The camera zoomed in, capturing every flicker of emotion, every breath, every uncomfortable pause. The host leaned forward, their tone calm but direct. "Let's clear the air," they said. "Are you the father?" He froze. You could hear the hum of the lights above. Even the crew stopped moving. He inhaled sharply, glanced at Erica, then back at the host. The silence stretched on for what felt like forever. Finally, he leaned in and spoke, low but clear enough for every mic to catch. "It's mine!" The words hit like a thunderclap. Gasps filled the room. Erica buried her face in her hands as tears streamed down. One of the producers off camera whispered something to the director, but no one dared interrupt. The host tried to regain control, urging calm, but the damage was already done. That single confession, just 2 words, instantly became the most shocking moment in love and hip-hop history. Within minutes of the episode preview dropping online, the internet went into meltdown mode. "It's mine" was everywhere. Memes, edits, slow-motion replays. Fans turned it into the most viral moment of the year. Reaction videos flooded YouTube. TikTok users recreated the entire scene with dramatic music. Hashtags trended for days. Some fans called it the rawest, most authentic thing the franchise had ever aired. Others accused the network of staging everything for ratings. Twitter threads exploded with speculation. Was it real? Was it scripted? Did producers push them to confess on camera? The debate got so heated that even former cast members jumped in, giving their takes and spilling behind-the-scenes secrets of their own. But behind all the noise, the real people involved were falling apart. The network scrambled to manage the chaos. Sponsors quietly started to distance themselves, pulling brand deals and halting ads. Major companies didn't want their logos next to what they called a controversial broadcast. The network released a carefully crafted statement promising sensitivity and accountability, but everyone saw it for what it was: damage control. Meanwhile, production was thrown into turmoil. Cast members were told not to speak to the media. Some refused to film until their contracts were renegotiated. Others felt betrayed, claiming they didn't know the sit-down would be that explosive. What was supposed to be a ratings boost had turned into a full-blown scandal. And for Erica, the pressure became unbearable. She tried to stay off social media, but the paparazzi wouldn't let her breathe. Every grocery store visit, every coffee run, every quiet moment outside her home became a headline. Photos of her baby bump circulated online, captioned with cruel speculation. Even her friends began getting harassed for information. For him, things weren't much better. His reputation took a massive hit. Brands that once lined up to work with him suddenly went silent. His endorsement deals were under review. His phone barely stopped buzzing. Reporters, managers, even family members wanting answers. And no matter where he turned, that confession followed him. For the fans, it was entertainment, something to dissect, meme, and argue about. But for the people living it, this was no longer just a storyline. This was their real life, raw, painful, and public. Weeks passed, but the echo of that 2-word confession refused to fade. Every podcast, every interview, every gossip blog found a way to bring it back. It became more than just a moment. It became a cultural flashpoint, a reminder of how far reality TV could go before crossing a line. Eventually, Erica made a choice. She stepped away from filming altogether. The cameras stopped following her. The confession clips stopped being replayed, at least for a while. She focused on her pregnancy, on finding peace amid the storm. When she finally posted something on social media, it wasn't a rant or a statement. It was a single picture of a sunrise, captioned, "Some storms are meant to cleanse." That post went viral too, but for different reasons. The comments were filled with support, encouragement, and apologies from fans who realized how deeply the situation had affected her. For the first time in months, the internet wasn't tearing her apart, it was lifting her up. He, however, faced a different silence. Once outspoken and confident, he stopped doing interviews altogether. His team released minimal updates focusing on privacy and healing. Rumors spread that both he and Erica had started therapy, separately, not to fix anything romantic, but to learn how to co-parent without reopening old wounds. When the network finally aired the full unedited episode, viewers were stunned. No dramatic background music, no heavy editing, just raw emotion. Fans called it one of the most real moments in reality TV history. Ratings skyrocketed, but so did the criticism. People asked, was this healing or exploitation? Did the producers cross a moral line for the sake of drama? Even they didn't have an answer. Months passed. The noise eventually died down, replaced by new scandals and new faces. Life, in its own quiet way, began to move forward. Erica gave birth privately, surrounded by her family, far from the flashing lights of the cameras. She named her child something symbolic, something that represented rebirth. As for him, he remained out of the spotlight, working quietly on rebuilding both his image and his personal life. Every so often, he'd post something vague, quotes about growth, forgiveness, or fatherhood. But the man who once thrived on attention seemed to find comfort in silence. The producers moved on too. New storylines filled the show. New drama took center stage. But for the fans who had witnessed that unforgettable sit-down, this chapter would always stand out. Because for once, it wasn't about edits or story arcs. It was about two people caught between fame and truth. And in that moment, with cameras rolling and millions watching, reality television stopped being a show and became something painfully, beautifully real.